alive today. Thank you, life. Thank you, body. Thank you for breathing me today. Thank you, Creator, Creatrix, for giving me another day. And I'm learning how to identify my feelings, guys. I want to talk about something that's kind of different, but anyway, I want to know who else relates to this. For me, a lot of my life as a woman, as a female, as a lady, and this is really for the ladies and any other genders, if this helps you or if you want to pass this to a sister that you feel would really resonate or could use this, then feel free to do so. As a woman in this world, well, I've learned to caretake other people and put others before myself. This is something that is a very old belief system, right? And people will talk about how it's part of the patriarchy. It's, we look back in the 50s and the 40s, it was like the woman was the homemaker and she did all these things and these are the things that were expected. And, the whole idea of like superwoman and like she who does everything. Well, there's a lot I want to say about that. I'm going to do my best to keep this intentional. What I just found out about, which resonates with me, is that there can be these three things that happen all at once, and that actually, well, two things, but the third one is the reaction to these two things. And basically, we hear about imposter syndrome all the time, right? And it's kind of become this accepted term that like most people feel it, or a lot of women do. And studies even show that it's actually not called imposter syndrome because it's like not really a syndrome. It's just a nuanced pattern that can happen for a lot of people. It's actually called imposterism. And it's the idea that somehow you do not internalize or take, what's the word? Somehow you deflect ownership of the things that you're good at. And you tend to think that it's a matter of luck and having nothing really to do with your skill or ability, that somehow it's separate from you. So I really relate to that. And I want to share that I also have perfectionism. And I didn't know that there's a name for it. It's called maladaptive perfectionism. And well, the word mal tends to mean bad or poor. So an adaptive means like the ability to change, right? So poor ability to change, perfectionist. Those things coupled together and can create burnout, which is basically adrenal fatigue. So if I'm believing that somehow the things that I create and everything I do really has nothing to do with me, and like I just don't inside of myself, like don't really take the credit for it, or maybe I don't feel like I'm allowed to. I'm just exploring this topic that I recently found out about through Dr. Marks. She does a lot of videos on YouTube for free. If that's happening for me, and then I also have a tendency to have these expectations that are basically so high that they really can never be met, that's what maladaptive perfectionism looks like, then it creates this endless cycle of like me trying to meet my own expectations and never, ever making it, and then getting burnt out, and then feeling bad about myself. Think about that. That's a loop. That is an endless loop. And it's the first thing that really made sense to me around what I've been experiencing for years. I've been trying to figure it out, name it, find people who know what this is, because it really felt like there was no way out for me. And it's caused depression. It's caused me to isolate. It's caused me to feel like other people think that I am a fraud, or like basically the thoughts that come along with the imposterism are that like you feel like you're a fraud or you're going to be figured out. And like, what is this belief that somehow no matter what you do, you still feel like you're not enough? Now, I know a lot of women who do women's work, like Mama Gina, Gina René, Gosh, there's so many women, right? There's a divine feminine awakening, like we're remembering that there's deeper truths and that our power lies underneath these wounds and these belief systems that no longer serve. And it really doesn't just limit, it's not just limited to women, it's about all of humanity. And a lot of this starts with women because it has been our challenge, it has been our journey for so long. But if I've been having beliefs like that, and then I have the perfectionism, it just makes sense that I'd be in this loop of constantly being burnout and never feeling good enough. And well, what else are some of the results of that? Not completing things because feeling like, well, why bother? Or trying so hard to meet my high expectations that are unrealistic, never meeting them, feeling like a failure within myself. Like so much of this has to do with what's going on inside of me or inside a person who has this. So I'm curious to see who relates to this. And I highly recommend going and looking up Dr. Marks. I don't remember her first name, but she has really powerful videos that most of them are all worldview shattering and are going to blow your mind open. The other thing that she talks about is that a lot of us who tend to attract really strong personalities or people with strong emotions, that we tend to get sucked into their emotional stuff and we can lose ourselves. Like there's been a lot of talk about empaths over the years, right? But this is something else. And I feel like she really names something that it's almost controversial. She basically says that it's a matter of having a lack of emotional intelligence is why people like myself or others tend to attract or, yeah, or maybe entertain people who are emotionally intense. The reason why is because, bringing it back to what I said in the beginning of the video, is that we as women, okay, as the feminine species, we have learned to put others' feelings and needs before our own. So if that is the default, then it makes sense that I almost don't really know my feelings unless I go out of that paradigm and start to really take a look at my feelings. And so this is part of my journey of my healing that I've shared. If you want to read my full story or a big part of my story that kind of goes into this, it is in my campaign, which is in the link in my bio. I'm not attached to people giving money to me. If you feel called to do that, great. I really want people to read my story. I want women to read my story. And I want to hear if you relate to what I'm sharing, because this is like an emotional and mental health epidemic going on. And I even said that in my story, is like burnout is like an epidemic that's almost like, been denied and not really talked about. So love to hear what you think in the comments. Share a little bit of your journey. I'm Gina René. I create, brave spaces for women, those born women. This is who I am and this is who I serve. And if it ends up serving you and you're not a woman, then I'm thankful. And share this with someone you feel could really use it, because it really comes down to being able to start to recognize what we feel, be able to name it, be kind to ourselves, practice self-compassion, and then make a new choice from there. But we have to start with acknowledging the feelings. And it's really difficult when you're not used to it. And if anything, it will help you to stop reacting to people and things when you do that. So this is my journey where I'm at, to be continued. Thank you.